Hey friends, Philip here with Points with Philip, and I'm coming to you again because there's some more breaking news again. So this time, this is actually brought to you by the Points Guy and Danny, the Deal Guru, and basically they both say that they've been have independently confirmed with Citibank that there will be a new Strata card, and so that card's going to be called the Citi Strata card, and so it's actually going to end up replacing the Citi Rewards Plus card. So we're going to get into this news, and we're treating it as news more than rumor because we have two different sources that have independently confirmed this directly with Citi, or at least that's what they're saying. And so this seems to be much more of an announcement than, say, a random Reddit post, right? So that's how we're going to treat this. But before we get into that, I'd like to go ahead and ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube to know that you value what I'm doing, and it helps also more to get more people to be able to see it. And so I really would appreciate it if you could do that. So thanks so much for doing that. But before we get into what's going on with this card, I really wanted to talk to you about my friends at Exter Wallets. So my friends, they sent me some wonderful wallets, and honestly, in the very short time that I've carried their wallets, I have to say that I am very, very impressed. So I'm going to talk about here. This is the Exter Wallet Pro, and first of all, I like to consider myself to be kind of a leather snob. In fact, before I carried these, I carried Belware wallets because I really appreciated the leather quality. But I have to say, the way that this leather smells is really top notch. And if you take a look at the leather quality, it's really nice. The way it kind of shimmers there and the way it feels, it's very soft. And honestly, it's really kind of a great card. I love the fact that this mechanism is very simple and easy to use. Shoots them all up and you can kind of pick out which card you want to take a look at, right? And then just put it straight back. It's really a solid card, and they also have some other pockets and this little band here, which is really helpful. And then also too, there's a really interesting card here. It's called the Finder card, and this actually works with Apple Find My because I have an Apple phone. They do have one that works with Google as well. That's quite nice. And so I've really enjoyed this wallet, and if you want to get it, I know right now they're having at least at the time that this is dropped, they are having a Father's Day sale. That's 30% off of anything in the store. But if you use the link in the description below, you can get an additional 10% off of that. So then if you use my link, that gives you 40% off anything in the store. And so that's going to be a huge deal. I do want to talk too about, this is called the card holder. It's pretty much just the mechanism here. And then there's like a little band, and there's also like an RFID blocking plate too. This is really nice too. I decided to, daily drive the leather one because I'm kind of really into leather, but they have those options. But anyway, thanks so much for listening to that, but let's get back into why you want this card. Let's get into the top lines of what this card is. So this is going to be a new Citi card, and it's going to take replace the basically essentially the Rewards Plus card. And so that was a no annual fee card in the Citi's lineup, and that allowed you to earn some thank you points, which is Citi's points currency. But it also had an interesting bonus that had 10% back on redemptions up to 100,000 points. And so that was kind of interesting and intriguing. And so that was one of the reasons why people actually held this card. Now, this new card doesn't actually mention any sort of bonus like that, but it does have something that's worth talking about. So let's get into that. So now, first of all, this has no annual fee, and it has some compelling categories. But before we get into the categories, let's talk about the sign-up bonus. So the sign-up bonus has been announced. It will be 30,000 thank you points after spending $1,000 in 3 months. So that's pretty good for a no annual fee card. The Citi Strata Premier currently has a 60,000 point bonus, and that has a $95 annual fee. Now, it is important to note that the Citi Strata Premier just recently downgraded from a 75,000 opening bonus. So 30,000 might be an opening bonus, which means the opening bonus or the bonus could be less than 30,000 as time progresses. We're going to see what that looks like later. All right. So now let's get to the categories here. So the spending multiplier. So you get, first of all, you get 5 points per dollar on any travel purchases made through the Citi travel portal. And so this is going to be, you can buy it for airfare, hotels, rental cars, as long as you paid for it with this travel portal, then you get 5 points per dollar on this card. And so that's pretty good. It's competitive ish, right? So it's competitive to say like, some of Chase cards or something through the travel portal. But the Citi Strata Premier, the one that has a $95 fee, allows for 10 points per dollar on the travel portal. And so, those earning rates are going to be, well, double. And so that's kind of substantial if you're interested in earning Citi Thank You points and you're okay with booking things through the portal. Now, let's take a look here, some of the more interesting ones. So you get 3 points per dollar on supermarkets. So this is going to be, supermarkets is different than grocery. It might be. We'll see what that looks like. If it includes Walmart, things like that. I'm guessing no. Now, you also get 3 points per dollar on transit purchases, gas purchases, and EV charging. So that's kind of nice as well. Gas is kind of one of those categories that, American Express kind of makes you jump through a lot of hoops in order to be able to actually get, other than just like the Blue Business Plus. So we'll see what that looks like. And then also on EV charging now. I don't currently have an electric vehicle, so that doesn't really apply to me. But the gas is interesting. The transit's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if tolls or parking are a part of that, but we'll see. Now, you also here get a select your own category at 3x. And so the possible ways that you can select, the possible categories that you can select are going to be fitness clubs, select streaming services. We don't know what those select streaming services are, but they're going to be select. Then you have live entertainment. So this would be match, the Saver card, which gets 3 points per dollar on entertainment purchases. Now you also have one giant one that's going to be cosmetic stores, barber shops, and hair salons. So if you do anything with your hair, then that could help. That could be 3 points per dollar. Now, the place that I go to get my beard groomed and things like that, they also offer like pedicures and manicures and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if that gets 3 points per dollar as well, if I do end up getting this card. And then you also get 3 points per dollar as one of your categories could be pet supply stores. So you can choose from fitness clubs, streaming services, live entertainment, barbershops, hair salons, and pet supply stores. And so this is kind of the big part of the card, and this is the most interesting part of it, honestly. You also get 2 points per dollar on restaurant purchases and 1 point per dollar on everything else. So what can you do with these points is going to be the valid, real overarching question. So according to the points guy, they have specifically called out that you can transfer your points to the Citi Strata Premier account. So you'd have to hold this Strata card and then the Citi Strata Premier card as well, and then transfer them out to those partners. So there isn't a specific mention anywhere else about transferability. And so now the Rewards Plus card did have limited transfer partners that you could transfer those partners out to directly without holding another card. So it's unclear at this point what it's going to look like. But according to the points guy, it sounds like, basically you may have to hold both cards in order to actually be able to use them. So what does this card then get you that the Citi Strata Premier doesn't? And that's going to be kind of the select your own categories, right? So this has that 3 to X, pick your category, that it could expand your thank you points offering for no additional annual fee. So if that's something that you're interested in, and clearly for those of you that, are on the Citi Custom Cash train where you have 3 or 4 or more of them, and you're getting 5 points per dollar on whatever category it is you use that card for, this could be an interesting way to expand out your thank you points. Now, thank you points are fairly valuable. There's a decent amount of transfer partners, and they do have favorable transfer rates with Choice and a few other partners. So this could be interesting, right? Now, here's the thing, though. If you have to have both, the Citi Strata Premier earns more on dining. So this one gets 2 points per dollar. That one gets 3 points per dollar. And the same on supermarkets, as well as, again, I mentioned that before, more points for the portal. So the Citi Strata Premier gets 10x points. The Citi Strata card, this one that we're talking about today, would get 5 points. Now, so it's interesting. So why do I care about this card? So it's kind of the strategy behind this card that is what is intriguing to me, right? So this is a clear take on the Wells Fargo attune. And now a lot of the people that I've talked to about this card so far today kind of are basically showing that it's going to miss, right? Going against the Wells Fargo Attune. And the reason why is because the Attune is 4 points per dollar. Now it's Wells Fargo points, and they have less transfer partners, but it's 4 points per dollar on pretty much a wide range of topics, right? You can do gym memberships. You can also do Disney passes, things like that. It's very wide open. Their self-care categories and things like that are very wide open, that you can get 4 points per dollar on a lot of different things. I think the frequent milers even pointed out that you can get marina fees covered at 4 points per dollar with a Wells Fargo Attune card. So it's kind of a stab in an interesting direction at Wells Fargo, but it again doesn't really get there. You have to pick one specific category, and you really have to figure out which one you spend on, right? Because like if you say go to get your hair done once a month, how many thank you points could you possibly earn from that purchase? Or, I mean, I think probably the one that's most likely to get the most amount of value is if you spend a decent amount at a high level gym membership, right? So if you say you go to with Equinox and you spend $300 a month or something crazy for a gym membership, are you getting 3 points per dollar on that? And so that's, I guess, the actual value and interesting nature of this card. But the thing that's interesting about this card to me is the fact that it's proof that Citi is trying to create a coherent multi-card strategy system, right? So Wells Fargo kind of has that covered, but their weakness is the fact that the transfer partners may not be the most flexible, right? Compared to Chase or American Express or something like that. Citi has been interesting in that, their big weakness is their customer service, right? So their customer service can be a little bit more difficult to get a hold of. Now, I've had decent in good customer service experiences where I've hopped on chat and I've been able to get things like dispute resolutions handled or product changes in a pretty timely manner. And so I haven't seen much of a deal, but I also haven't asked Citi to handle things that much for me. So, I can't really answer to that. But Citi is trying to work on their strata lineup. And so the fact that this is interesting, the fact that they're willing to kind of branch out on the Citi Strata card, this no annual fee card, kind of gives me hope for what the Citi Strata Elite could look like, because that's kind of a long-rumored card that everyone kind of thinks is coming soon, right? And so this could be interesting to see what they actually do with it. And so that's one of the things that I'm optimistic about with this card. Now, I definitely don't think I'd be signing up for this card on my own. Now, if I did have something that I wanted a product change to, maybe this would be a valid option if I wanted to expand into this, the 3X, the gym membership category or something like that. So this could be worthwhile. It could be an interesting addition. Now, how do you get it? So let's take a look here at, let's see, Danny the Deal Guru says on their website that essentially this card will be available to people who currently hold the Rewards Plus card. Now, this is a card that Citi recently kind of discontinued, right? So, but it is still possible to hold it. And so for those of you that do have the Rewards Plus currently, you will have access to apply for the card or to, I guess, presumably to product change to the card, although I don't know why you would want to, starting on July 20th of this year. And it did say too that other people will be able to, actually, apply for the card sometime later this year. So we don't know when that is, but the earliest people can get their hands on this card would be starting in July 20th of this year. So we'll see what happens. Honestly, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's more going to be interesting as part of, seeing what Citi's overall strategy is going to be for this card. But at this time, I don't think I will get it, but I'm interested to see, kind of what value some people are getting into it. So anyway, thanks for joining me on this. I appreciate you coming with me yet again on some breaking news stuff. And thanks so much. And I will see you again later. Bye.